Let me go to another question here, and I'll start with Joe Marm. We all know that the combat assault, search and destroy operations, and convoy security, all those kinds of things are inherently dangerous, and in any war, whether it's Vietnam or anything else, and it establishes this fear factor, and yet that fear is a constant on the battlefield. So I guess I've got two questions. One is, how do you overcome that fear on the battlefield? And two, how do you inspire your soldiers to ensure that they have the courage to accomplish the mission? Joe, you got some thoughts?
Fear is contagious, as we all know. So the key is you have to, as a leader, you have to set the example. And even though you may have fear, you can't express that fear to your men. That's very, very important. And training and preparation are the best to be ready for that combat. My best preparation for me personally was, my training that I received here at Fort Benning, particularly the Ranger School, which is 9 weeks of intense, close combat in the mountains of North Georgia and down in the Everglades of Florida, and here at Fort Benning. I want to go back to an interesting story in the battle. Communication is very, very important. A runner came over to me in the battle that first day and said, company commander's been killed, you're in charge. I said, boy, just like Ranger School. In a critical position, they put you in charge, right before an attack, you're the... Anyway, so I said, boy, okay. So I went over to the CP, and he was still there, Tony Nadal, my company commander. I missed the first word, if. So communication is very, very important. So if the company commander gets killed, you're in charge, because the other platoon leaders had been wounded or killed. So I was the one of the ones that was still alive. But and the XO was in the rear and not out there. So that was my mission. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to somebody else.
Where do you want?
Yeah, as Joe said, fear is contagious and stuff. And we've all read the things in the Civil War and stuff like that, where a leader rallies his troops that's trying to take leave of the battlefield and things of that nature. And it's steady leadership that's out there that stands up when you shouldn't be standing up and shows no fear in those kind of senses. And other than that, it is leaning back on your training. There are things you can do to cure, foul shooters like Shaquille O'Neal can only hit a 40% if you make him do wind sprints and shoot his practice foul shots after that, because it nearly simulates the game. But it's not quite like the game. No matter what you do, that's never going to be there. For me, it was really a matter of being right down here at Fort Benning in my basic training, and my drill sergeant kicked the fear right out of me about day 2. I converted to the hatred of him. And carried that on to battlefields all over this world and stuff. So that kind of training makes it so that you're strong enough to survive the physical piece and let your mental piece take over.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that without tactical and technical proficiency, you will fail, no matter how brave you are, because you always have to fall back on your capability to accomplish the mission and to convey your ability to lead others to accomplish that mission. Those are vitally important. And what you have to pass on to everybody else, because, as we all know, you may not survive the action. But I was always scared in combat. And when I wasn't in combat, I was scared I would soon be in combat. Anybody who says that he was in combat and wasn't scared is a lying dog, and you can tell him I said so. Or he's a psycho. Or he's a lying psycho, since they're not mutually exclusive. But valor on the battlefield is being scared and overcoming it, and knowing that your troops are scared and having them overcome it too.